Hey, beautiful souls. Alright, so we are going to continue reading from chapter 7, Runaway. Alright. It says, I made a friend growing up. He was a little like me. He was a Jehovah's Witness, and from my understanding, they did not celebrate holidays either, and they were strict in their upbringing. He was a kind boy. His name was Evan, and from the little that I have seen, he's turned out quite alright. He is a decent young man, and I would like to run into him again and compare stories. I am sure he has some good ones. Alright, guys, we are getting into chapter 8. Excuse me. I'm going to put the cigarette out because it's not attractive. Okay. So, chapter 8, shorts. The principal called home one day to tell my parents that I was wearing too much makeup. Little did the principal know I had stolen that makeup from Nanny. The principal also told Nanny my locker was stuffed with clothes. The principal had no idea I was planning to run away again. I wanted to wear makeup like all the other girls and wear short shorts just like them too. But being brought up a Muslim, or honestly any respectful family, you shouldn't wear shorts above the knees. But for women, especially in a Muslim home, they couldn't be above the knees. I wasn't allowed to wear tank tops, get my nails done, and none of the normal things, but all the others were doing. It's all good though, you know. I remember Nanny sewing some shorts up for me, and Sitty in the background saying, "Nanny, I don't even know why you're trying. The fool's going to roll them up." She didn't say fool. I added that in there. She didn't say fool. But she was sarcastic about it. But going to roll them up anyways when she gets to school. Sitty knew me so well. I sure as hell did. And that morning, Sitty warned me. She said, if you come home with creases in your shorts, you're going to wish you never wore them. Man, my punishment for that was ridiculous. Sitty took me to the backyard, and at that time we had rabbits. We were mating them, or we would skin them and eat them. Sitty gathered up a handful literally of rabbit shit. The little poops were like little pellets and made me eat them. I think my father was out of town because we sat outside. Yeah, there's a lot of editing that I need to do in this book. I'm going to get to it. Or my second book's going to be a lot better. Because we sat outside with me bawling for at least 4 hours. Sitty made sure I ate all of the shit. I mean, I was crying so badly, boogers were running into my mouth and getting everywhere. I never played or even looked at a rabbit since, and I sure as hell didn't wear shorts until I finally left home at 16 years old and exploded. We will talk about it later. Guys, I want to talk about this. When you come from a family and y'all don't really communicate, and it's not bad that there are rules as just to be decent and to dress properly, you know, or respectfully. There's nothing wrong with that. What was wrong with this story was the discipline, the way everyone handled it, the misunderstanding, the lack of communication. There was hate, you know. There was hate, and I was so confused, so young. I just wanted to fit in, you know. I know I'm not the only one. Yeah, so let's get on to the next page. Oh, this one's deep. This one's really, actually, it's pretty bad. But I'm here to share my stories with you because I want you to know that you are not alone, and you can come out on top. You can learn how to cope with traumas and be happy. Alright, so this is chapter 9, and it's called Train Choo Choo. My father's coping mechanism when he got upset with Nanny and Sitty was to either go into his office at home and slam the door, or he would pack his stuff and leave for the night, go to a hotel, or just go to his office at the university and sleep. He never stuck around to sort things out. I guess that's how Nanny and Sitty got away with all the things they were doing to us. It didn't make things better for little Elmo and me. It made things worse for us because then Siti and Nanny took their anger out on us. So it sucked because you know, if Nanny and Siti were upset, if Nanny especially was upset with my father, she was already stressed out. She was already angry, and then Siti didn't make the situation any better. She was like the gas to the fumes. Anywho, so here's a narrator insert. It has taken me 37 years to realize Nanny felt alone. She needed my father. She needed to be loved the right way, but my father didn't know how. I know it all felt like a slap in the face towards the end of her life, and then I go to say, God rest her soul. Y'all, we have to go through experiences similar to this for us to understand. Like I can look back now at 30. Right now I'm 38 years old, and just I can see both sides of the situation, or everyone's side of the situation, and I have empathy and love for everyone, regardless. Because that's just the way I am, and hopefully we can get you there. Yeah. And then it goes to say, I painted a picture of what a good or normal family was supposed to be like, and my family was far from it. I think a lot of our families are far from it. It took a lot of healing and understanding for me to get to where I am in life right now. I had to accept that people are the way that they are, and I can't change them or make them better than they really are. I allowed people to water me down and dim my light for so long. Then it goes to say, I finally learned that I'm an amazing human being, and God allowed the things to happen in my life to steer me in the right direction and make me stronger. All right, so this is where instead of being the victim, you are the victor, because you've overcame these situations, these traumas, this hurt, and you're getting the lessons out of it. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Okay. My purpose 37 years later is clear. I'm here to help heal those of you that have given up. I'm going to shine my light and share my love to help bring you out of the dark. I'm a living testimony that it is possible. Yeah, it is possible. And then I go on to say, my father was consumed in his work, and my father got tired. His father passed away when he was a child, so he didn't know how to be the father that we needed at this time in our lives. He came from lack and tried his hardest to do his best for his family. So when my father left after getting into it with Nanny and Siti over us and the way they were mistreating us, we got it handed to us a lot worse. They really hated our guts. For a while there, I really truly believe, well, now I know it's not that they hated us. There was a lot of mental illness, sadly. So, yeah, it's fun looking back and then just sitting back and thinking about what I wrote, and how I feel about it now. It's really, truly, it helps you heal and understand things from all perspectives, all situations, It's a blessing. That's why I encourage you to have a notebook and a pen, and even when you don't feel like it, just write down just little memories and bits and pieces, because as you continue to go on your journey, or hey girl, it's my neighbor, continue on your path, on your journey, memories, or your mind is going to get clearer, and you are going to start to remember things, and not just the bad things, the good things too. And it's exciting. Just listen to me, take my advice. All right, I understand now that we all are fighting our own demons, but it hurts knowing the kids suffer because of the adults in our lives. My life hasn't been perfect. I'm going to hold off because we need to complete the story before we get into my present life right now. All right. So it says, my father finally got sick of the abuse that was going on at home, and he decided he was going to move out and leave little Elmo and me with the step family. Eventually, we moved in with him, but it didn't get any better. Everything then was our fault. It truly was. Alright. Especially when Nanny and my father got to arguing. So now my father had so much anger towards us. It was like a seesaw. No one was ever happy. Sadly, they did nothing to resolve their differences and reunite to make our lives better. They were selfish, and we didn't matter at this point. I stand firm in that. I think everyone was selfish and just didn't know how to get along and didn't understand. There was a lot of weirdness, you know? And then I go to say, my father was the hardest on little Elmo. My father handled our situation the worst way possible. He didn't know how to fix things, and he continued to take his anger out on us, too. Whenever Nanny stressed him out, blowing up his phone and calling all his family in Egypt begging for their attention. Actually, I knew the family got sick of it and wished she would just leave them alone. I couldn't imagine being Nanny. Nanny had all these terminal illnesses, had to deal with Siti, and Siti was evil and selfish, obviously. Nanny had a husband that was fed up and had washed his hands clean of both Nanny and Siti, and it's, a lot of times it felt like he washed his hands clean of us too, honestly. He loved his kids, but was tired of the shit. Nanny held my father's kids over his head at times to get his attention, and most of the time, it worked. You have to think, one man has to support 6 kids, $250,000 home, take care of his family in Egypt, deal with a crazy-ass mother-in-law, make sure all of us are in sports and dance, piano classes, etc. That's a lot for one man. It's funny because, it's not funny, this is serious. I'm giving my father the benefit of the doubt, and I'm keeping him on a high pedestal. It's because I absolutely adore my father. But I'm starting to see where he went wrong, too, Bless him. And the entire family doesn't understand how to communicate and work together. It's tough. Alright, so my narrator insert, it says, I have learned that I took after Nanny. I would go to the extremes to get, and this was later on, like when I moved out at like 16, and I started to have really toxic relationships. I would do what Nanny did because, all I wanted was love. So let me continue reading. It says, I've learned that I took after Nanny. I would go to the extremes to get my boyfriend's attentions. I would go so far to the point that their entire families lost respect for me and wished their sons would leave my crazy ass. Hell, I took after my father as well over the years. I would walk out and avoid any and all altercations in all relationships. I didn't understand what it was to be in a healthy relationship or what boundaries were. You will see the growth in my life as you continue to read. Guys, you're going to be going, and this is for family members, cousins, friends, associates, co-workers, relationships, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, fiancés, husbands. All right. You're going to have to learn through different relationships what works for you, what's healthy for you, and what's not. I had to learn the hard way because I am really, really stubborn. So, I went through a few karmic cycles until it finally clicked. And I was like, I know my value, I know my worth, and that's where I'm going to get you. Okay? But it was just like my stepmom. And I get it now because, when you put in so much work into a relationship and you bow down and you give your power away to your partner and just you lose focus of your purpose, of yourself, of your value, and everyone else matters but yourself, they take I just hiccup. They take you for granted. They will take you, these people will take you for granted. This is why it is so important to regain your power, to regain your confidence, to know who you are, to love who you are, okay? This is very important. All right. So I get it, from both aspects. From what I was taught And we're going to continue reading. It says, from what I was taught, when an Egyptian Muslim girl hits puberty, she gets married off. My father told me that one of his students asked for my hand in marriage and asked what I thought about it. The Sifti was always poking at this man because he was overweight. This is the guy that wanted to marry me. Overweight, but no one knew him like I did. He was extremely quiet, and he was just in the States on a school visa from Egypt and was studying and hoped to stay in the States when he graduated. By this time, little Elmo and I were living in an apartment complex in downtown Auburn with my father. Ugh, it gets really, really crazy, y'all. But it's part of the process. With my father, we were allowed to do whatever we wanted because my father was always at work. And after dealing with the shit we had dealt with the first part of our childhood, we did that exactly. Well, this man that asked my father for my hand in marriage, I didn't take it seriously, and at this time I was probably 15 years old and had just started exploring and trying to do what all the other girls were doing. This student who wanted to marry me did absolutely anything I asked him to do, and I didn't care for him. I took advantage of his kindness and now realized at the time I didn't deserve a good man like him. I realize now, not then, but yeah, now. Okay, like him, God had better plans for him, and he ended up traveling the world. And this is what I found out later on in life, which was really cool. Yeah. So these are, people are put in your life for you to